timeline and deadlines that certain colleges require. So it varies by university and student deciding when they are willing to send in their application. So this process can take around 2 years to complete. And that includes just piling and collecting documents, gaining experience, and doing extracurricular things outside of just academics. So it's very important to research universities, look at their specific requirements just by looking at their websites and seeing their deadlines there. So there are three types of kind of deadlines. So the first one, early decision. It's usually in November, and some schools have it until January. But what this type of decision is that it's binding, which means that the applicant has to enroll to this university if they are offered admission. So if I were to apply early decision to one school, which I did for Lehigh, I was accepted immediately, and so I couldn't apply to any other schools. It was like a binding contract to that university. And then there's early action, which is where deadlines are usually again in November, but this decision is not binding. So it means that I can apply early to one school, see whether or not I got in, and if I didn't, I still have the opportunity to apply to other schools, which would be like safety schools. And that you would have to apply through regular decision, which is typically the 1st of January, where most of the application pools are, and that's where most people apply. So it's a bit more competitive than applying early decision. Okay. So there are several platforms to use when you send in your application. The common application is mostly used, but there are also university system specific applications. So for example, there are schools in California that if you go and check on their website, will have their own separate portal for you to submit their documents there and any other important information. And then there's a coalition application, which is a bit more different and not as commonly used. And the way college applications work are that they're reviewed through a holistic approach, which means that colleges aren't simply looking at your grades per se, they're going to look at also your outside academic experience. So it's very important for you to showcase a well-rounded profile with personal strengths as well. And I'll also cover what that means later on. For documentations, universities look for official high school transcripts. So because this is just one of the pieces that you need for the entire application process, it's still important to have excellent grades, but it's not going to be the end all be all for being able to be accepted into universities. Other schools are currently test optional, which means that standardized tests such as the SAT or ACT are not required. So that would be a good thing to look at if you're researching for schools and you don't want to take the SAT. A lot of schools like Lehigh, the one I go to, is test blind, so it does not hurt your application process if you do not submit any of these scores. And then resumes, CVs, and other documents highlighting specific achievements is recommended, as well as letter of recommendations. So this one is specifically important because you want to showcase that you have personal connections with other people that have great things to say about you. So this could be professors, coaches, people who have known you well and seen you overcome challenges so that they can kind of boost you up in your whole character as a student, a high school student. Okay, and then extracurricular activities. It is very critical for your college application because, as I mentioned, it's a holistic approach. So you want to be as unique as possible. And this could be through volunteering, sports, hobbies that you have, and showing that you have plenty of strengths in these areas. So, for example, having a specific volunteering project can give you an upper hand at standing out from other students that might not have had that experience. So, for example, what I think really helped me through my college admission process was having my own volunteering project. And I did this through a project which I called Humanizing the Homeless. And what I did was collaborate with two different photographers that were already working for the same mission that I was. And I basically drew portraits, self-portraits of homeless people. And as I mentioned earlier, I am an art major as well. So it helped me stand out. And because I knew what I wanted to study in university, it helped boost that reason why and that motive that I want to go in to continue doing projects like these. And I'll show you some of my art. And this as well, if you have any like documentations of projects that you have done, if you're into arts and things like that, and you want to upload some of these things as well through your college admission application, then it is very recommended because they see that you are more than just an academic student. There's more to you, and you have a story to tell. So with researching and selecting colleges, it is a priority for you to view your options and be able to succeed in achieving as well financial assistance. So when you look at colleges, it's very important to ask questions such as which colleges and universities will meet my needs and interests? What are the applications and financial aid deadlines? And how much assistance do I need? How much coverage should I expect to get from universities that I look at? And it's very important for you to look for schools with generous aid and have a reputation for fulfilling that assistance that you need. So, and to do this, it's very simple. You just look at the university's website. Usually, if you just look up a specific university and application requirements, it will show up. And this is an example of one from Lehigh. And you can see that there are specific tabs for international students as well. So that would be a resource you could utilize. And they also have a whole list of things that you would need for your application process so that you don't forget anything, which is very helpful. In terms of finances, grants, loans, and scholarships are terms for you to know when receiving financial assistance. And so grants are given based on financial need and do not need to be repaid. Scholarships are normally merit-based awards, and these are important because some schools may not give you enough grant or enough of that financial assistance. So you want to look at scholarships specifically. And it just goes back to the whole idea of the holistic approach that the application process takes, because you want to be successful not just in academics, but in other areas for you to even receive scholarships for different reasons. And also it's important to be careful for scholarship scams as well, because no one wants to be scammed. And loans also depend on financial eligibility, but this is money that you'd eventually have to pay back. For international students specifically, some American universities offer scholarships for international students, and just because you are an international student. So because they are merit-based, as I mentioned before, focus on not just prioritizing academic excellence, but create a strong resume surrounded through various disciplines and areas. As well as I'd recommend to talk to an EducationUSA advisor about various scholarship opportunities that might be available for you. So it's just another great resource to utilize for you. Now for college essays, this is very important as well, because this is where universities will get to know you at a deeper level and see not just your writing skills, but as well the type of person that you're trying to portray yourself as. And there are different types of essays colleges may ask of you. One being the personal statement, which is where you're going to talk about your achievements, the ways you've excelled academically, as well as just the things that you do outside of school. There are essays that might ask you, why do you want to be a part of this community? Why do you want to apply to this university? And there are also recently have been an increase in essays that ask about diversity and inclusion, or even just current issue topics. So this is very important to prepare early on, just so that you have them prepared and not have to write down multiple essays for different universities that you're trying to apply to. So even just writing 4 different essays for each of these things, you can edit them and put them into any college application. It'll be much easier for you. Okay. And now, how to stand out. I've been talking a lot about, standing out to be unique and to have a higher chance of getting accepted in a university. One of these ways is, as I mentioned, in your essay. So including extracurricular activities, academic accomplishments, and specifically how you are different from the rest of your peers. Like, what makes your achievements so important that I might not want to choose someone else, So as well with college essays and personal essays, you want to keep in mind the question as well, how I can contribute to this university and benefit their community. So it's not just about how important you may be, but how important that the addition of yourself to this community can benefit the university itself. And that's one of the most important reasons why schools accept students, is for that uniqueness and drive that they have to be someone important and know how they would like to change the world. So again, ask yourself, how would you like to change the world and be the person that you want to be through the resources that this university may have for you? So this is more of like a personal experience example, how I got into Lehigh with fully funded grants and scholarships. So the process that I went through was, I first began researching through universities like Lehigh that specifically have a high reputation for meeting a student's financial needs. So that was my priority in looking for schools. It was, also just the community that was there, but it was more about how I can leave the university with a degree and be debt-free. So because as well, I knew I wanted to study psychology before I had applied, I didn't just talk about my reasons for wanting to study in this university for this reason, because I want to study psychology. It's a very bland story that they hear pretty often from a lot of applicants that they may receive. So you want to be very specific and tell them a story. So in personal essays, you want to talk about a life-changing moment, or even when you realize that you knew you wanted to make a difference, and have it be tied to your life. You don't want to talk about something that, everyone else would probably be talking about. I also think it's very important to make the effort to make connections prior to attending the university. So you can do this. For example, I looked into first generation programs at Lehigh because I am a first generation student. And I spoke with representatives on how maybe I can receive more financial aid and what other resources does this university offer. And that way they know you specifically, they have this connection with you and can refer you to that assistance that you may need. So likewise, you can always reach out to schools and look at their international programs, what kind of resources they offer there, and contact their representatives and ask questions directly to them to show that you have that interest specific to that university. And as well, even just prior to this, there are opportunities such as the Competitive College Club. And this is a virtual program for high school students interested in pursuing higher education in the undergraduate level. It is a yearly intensive program that offers assistance through college application process, which I covered, and resources for taking the SAT or even just English language tests that are all covered. And this club is completely free. There is no cost at all. So it's definitely one opportunity that you should take advantage of because it betters your chances as well to achieve this dream that you may have. So just a recap and conclusion about things and points that you should probably take away from this is that the overall message is just to stay proactive and take advantage of every opportunity that comes through your way, and as well as do your own research, gain information specific to universities, know the aspects you want to prioritize when college searching, and build experience. So focus strictly on just extracurricular activities if you can, do more than just academics and make an impact through that. And connections, showing interest to schools early on is again important, but as well keeping a confident and open-minded outlook is very important throughout this entire process. So that is all the things I have for you guys today. Are there any questions? I think now would be the time to go over any concerns.